Subscribe for Reddit's controversial opinions. It's not just Captain Marvel. All of the Marvel women are written with the exact same personality. They're just bad at writing women, period. They're all smirking, badass and hyper-competent. They smile or shake their heads in a chagrined manner when the boys fuck up and they have to pick up after them, and then they provide that much-needed moral support, or an ass-kicking. Sometimes they make a funny quip, but that's it really. Maria Hill, Pepper Potts, Natasha Romanoff, Carol Danvers, you could interchange any of them and the scene would barely change. The only exception to this rule I can think of was Darcy from Thor 1 and Thor 2, but she's gone now. Edit. Okay, that's it for today. I'm not answering any more comments. I've added a lot to my point down below and chances are I've already answered a question you wanna ask. Superhero movies are not exactly bastions of ambitious writing. Another exemption is Mantis. Guardians of the Galaxy wasn't as bad. But, yeah, they got Gamora and Nebula right though. Smirking, badass, and hyper-competent. You just described 90% of superheroes. I don't know what you are talking about aside from describing all Marvel characters. Scarlet Witch does none of those things and neither does Black Widow. Got girls are pretty well written and young characters like Morgan, Shuri, Cassie, and MJ are good. Plus Okoye. It's not that Marvel can't write women, the problem lies in the social perception of female characters in fiction. We can't get fleshed out realistic female characters because any flaw or character defect will be labeled as sexist/demeaning to women. The most beloved male characters are loved because their arcs show them overcoming their faults, which we all have and can relate to, and becoming something greater than themselves. The Stark, yes, that's a pun. Contrast between Tony Stark's character and Carol Danvers is a perfect summation of this. Tony starts off in the first movie a selfish, egotistical jerk only concerned with his business and wealth, but by the end of his character arc he performs a truly selfless act to remove a great evil and save the galaxy at his own expense. Carol on the other hand has no inherent flaws, other than maybe being too abrasive at times, and at the end of her movie she has no major shift from her original beliefs. She's even reaffirmed by becoming more powerful than she was at the start. If you're going to oversimplify it that much, you could say the same about the male characters. This can describe pretty much the entire MCU, including the men. They aren't exactly deep movies. Gemma Simmons, Daisy Johnson, The Ancient One, Nakia, Okoye, Shuri, Tandy Bowen, Peggy Carter, Nico Minoru, Gert Yorks, Molly Hayes, Carolina Dean, Bobby Morse. All well-written female characters with distinct and unique personalities in the MCU. No one is written well in Marvel movies. Marvel movies aren't written well. Jessica Jones, Karen Page, Quake, Misty Knight, Colleen Wing, Elektra, and a bunch of women whose names I can't remember right now are all well-written characters. You've just described all Marvel heroes, congrats. All superhero characters are archetypal. But no, this is women bad thinly veiled by the fact that A, you don't watch the shows and B, you don't want to look at or inspect female characters. Mantis and Black Widow aren't remotely comparable. Gamora and Nebula are distinctly different characters. Captain Marvel isn't anything like Princess Shuri. The Black Panther women really stand out as well. I'd argue that the men in the Marvel universe suffer from the same problem. They're all Tony Stark. With characters like Star-Lord, it makes sense. He's always been written that way. But there's no reason for Dr. Strange to be a rude but effective quipster. They're all smirking, badass and hyper-competent. Unlike all the Marvel guy heroes. This is bizarrely silly, and only true to the extent that all Marvel heroes are the same smirking, badass and hyper-competent heroes. Sure, maybe a few of them vary, but it's the exact same with the female heroes. This doesn't seem like anything more than sexist bitching, to be honest. They're just bad at writing characters. Period. Yeah, and every male character is either stoic and always serious or an immature quip machine. Your point. A lot of the Marvel characters really shine not because of the writing but the acting. That's where a lot of the unique personality and charm comes from. What about Mantis? She was a little softer, I think. They had some good characters and bits, but a little too much of the obvious and over-the-top pandering. The all-women she's not alone scene in EG completely took me out of the moment. Pepper was badass in her suit, the Valkyrie saved Spidey's ass. Wanda is amazingly powerful, with her magic, stronger than Cap and on par with Thanos, and has a pretty good character build/arc. The bald Wakanda woman warriors are pretty kick-ass. But force them all together for no other reason than to overtly say hey, there's women and we the studio made them strong is a terrible move, pulls the audience out of the action, feels forced, and ruins the fact that they're individuals and each are valuable on their own. A group of diverse, as in they have their own backstories and abilities and such, characters become an amorphous blob of just women strong in one move.